Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of the Million Pound Mission podcast. It's your buddy Adam, the PhD, the previously heavy dude, and this is episode number 356. We're talking about shifting your energy to improve your health with my friend Kim Chiarello. Very nice and pleasant last name to say. Chiarello. I feel like it's a Norwegian greeting. Chiarello to one and all. So we're going to get into the weird stuff with this episode. Every once in a while, I like to dive in and just kind of explore the nooks and crannies of things that I'm curious about. And this may not exactly be your jam, but we definitely have a very interesting conversation and a unique conversation that I've never had before. So we'll get into that in a moment. First, we are wrapping up a 28-day cycle. Make sure that you guys are donating your weight loss. If you've had some great results this last 28 days, go to millionpoundmission.com. I've got a brand new Million Pound Mission weight loss tracker on there. All you do is if you've lost 5 pounds in the last few weeks, go in there and you'll see it at the bottom of the page, millionpoundmission.com. Enter in your weight loss and donate that weight to our Million Pound Mission. We're getting ready to bust the 60,000 pounds donated barrier. There's a new little digital fireworks thing that happens. It kind of if any of you guys played Atari back in the day, it kind of looks like that. And I think it's awesome. So that alone is worth checking it out. Just go to the bottom of the page at millionpoundmission.com and donate that weight loss. Also, I'm loading up my coaching roster for the next 28-day cycle. Get with me. Go to millionpoundmission.com. I've got a couple of options there. We can do a 45-minute one-on-one consultation. I've also got the full-on 28-day one-on-one coaching option available. You got to apply for that because that is a limited option as far as how many people I can take each 28-day cycle. So check that out on the website as well. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're building some momentum as we get into the thick of things here in the summer. I'm getting ready to turn 40. It's happening, let's see here, in 9 days from when this goes live. I will be 40 damn years old. I won't just be damn near 40. I'll be officially 40, but things are going well. I feel pretty darn good. Great feedback on the latest few episodes from you guys. I always appreciate that. And you can always shout me out on Instagram at Million Pound Mission. All right, let's dig into this topic here. Have you guys ever felt like your mindset, your energy levels, and that personal fire inside of you just aren't quite aligned and you can't figure out why? Like something's just off and you can't figure out why. Well, my friends, this week we are going to try something a little bit different to get you back in full alignment and back on track. And I'm bringing in my friend, Kim Chiarello, to help us. And not only is she someone who has an amazing last name, she's been providing Intuitive Energy Healing Facilitation, private sessions, and workshops for over 15 years. And she incorporates her skills as a master teacher of Evolutionary Reiki, as well as other healing modalities to facilitate the healing process. Now, Kim uses her advanced intuitive abilities, which are, here we go, I'm not going to mess these up, Clairesentience. No, I already messed it up. Clairesentience, that's what I meant to say. Clairvoyance, Empathic, Kinesthetic, and Medium. I knew I was going to mess that up, guys. I knew it. Isn't Clairescence like a 90s aggro rock band? I don't know. I digress. But she uses these intuitive abilities to communicate with your soul in order to discern the most beneficial approach for each session. I told you we're going to get a little bit out there for the show. We talk about some really cool stuff. We talk about exactly what is energy healing. We talk about how she realized that she had these special abilities, and that's a pretty darn cool story. We talk about how we can use energy healing to improve our health. We talk about what feedback she picked up on me during our conversation and about my past lives. Honestly, if you don't listen to anything else, go to that part. It's amazing. She tells me what I existed as in my past lives, and it totally weirded me out. I think it's interesting. I think it's cool. I'm not sure what to believe, but I'm very curious about that. So that was very interesting. And she actually gives some amazing examples of how she's been able to help people in some very unique ways. So this, like I said, if this is your first time listening to the show, this isn't the normal type of conversation that I had. I've got 355 other episodes that you can definitely check out. And again, if it's not your jam, no big deal, but I like to explore some different types of conversations every once in a while. And this is a great example of that. So without any further delay, Let's dive into episode number 356, Shifting Your Energy to Improve Your Health with Kim Chiarello.
All right, Kim Chiarello, welcome to the Million Pound Mission Podcast. How are we doing today, my friend?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited.
Well, this is going to be a unique conversation that has never been had before on the Million Pound Mission Podcast. And we met out in California at an event, and we had a great conversation over lunch. And I think that just something about you just spoke to me. And I said, this is outside of the box for both myself and my community, but I feel like I like to arm people with tools in that transformation toolbox. And I think you can provide that sort of value. So very, very excited to have you here today.
Thank you.
All right. Now, the first question, I think a proper way to start this off is, how do you describe it if somebody asks you like what you do for a living or your skill set? How do you describe those things?
So high level, I'll say I'm a spiritual teacher and an intuitive energy healing facilitator. Yeah.
So, okay.
Do you want me to go a little deeper?
Well, energy healing, describe like exactly what you mean by that. But I know that's a term that I'm sure some of my audience members have heard, but they may not totally understand.
Yeah. And thank you for that, because a lot of people mean different things when they say that. So I'm gonna start kind of high level and dive deep here. Just in a quick example. So we, as physicists will say, everything is energy. And what does that mean? Well, we would learn in school that molecules moving fast are a gas, and molecules moving slower are a liquid, and molecules moving even more slowly are a solid. So that everything is in motion, and it only can be in motion because everything is energy, right? So we work with the concepts of energy in that respect. Some folks might have heard of acupuncture or acupressure. And in acupuncture and acupressure, they believe that we have energy pathways in our body, and they're using the needles or using their fingers for pressure to unblock those energy blockages. And in that system, they believe that when you have an energy blockage, then you have a cold or the flu or the back get thrown out, your back gets thrown out, right? Or those types, or migraines or whatever. So with people who do energy healing, and there's many different modalities. One of the modalities I use is Reiki, and that's kind of popular in the United States. Yep. I do other ones as well that are less known, but energy is energy. And with an energy healer, they're actually focusing the energy that's all around us in the universe, kind of like a magnifying glass, on you to open up the blockages instead of using needles like an acupuncturist would use. So it sounds a little crazy. And I'm laughing because I used to be an electrical engineer working on a payload on the space shuttle. And at that time, I would have said, this is insane. If you can't prove it to me, this isn't true. This isn't real. And then once I had a session, a massage therapist was like, I'm practicing learning Reiki. Our session is done. Can I just practice on you? And I went, oh God. I really like the massage. I was like, I really like the massage therapist, and I don't want to hurt his feelings. But, that's just wackadoo. And okay, fine. I don't have to rush off anywhere. And I can just lay here and relax a little bit longer, and he'll feel like he's doing something, and, we'll call it good. And he did some energy work on me, and then he was finished. And he's like, how do you feel? I'm like, fine. He's like, do you feel any different? I'm like, no. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to step out, get yourself together, and we can chat in the waiting room. And I finally sat up, and when I sat up, I went, something happened. Something happened here. I am so relaxed and so calm right now that you could tell me like there was a fire in my rental house and everything is gone. You've lost everything. And my response would be, oh, okay, so now what? Versus I'm originally from the East Coast, Italian heritage. I normally would be like, what? Oh my God. Right? And I'm like, something happened that I'm that calm.
Right.
Maybe I should research this a little bit.
So that's super interesting. So at that point, just to recap, you are an engineer working on space shuttles, and then all of a sudden this new experience happens and your life kind of turns a corner. So how did you get from that point to where you are now, where you're influencing people in this medium?
Yeah, well, there's a little bit more to that story, but so the bottom line was actually I started having a lot of health problems, and started going to the doctors, and sending me to one specialist after another. They couldn't figure out what was wrong. They did say that there was potential that I had brain cancer, but let's rule out everything else first.
Right.
So all of a sudden in my 20s, I'm faced with my mortality, right? I'm having an existential crisis.
Right.
Right. And I'm realizing, like, I don't know what the meaning of life is. I don't know what my purpose is, and I might be leaving, right? I might be dying. And long story short, they sent me through all the specialists. They took brain cancer off the table, and I still had my symptoms, and they said, we don't know. And so at that point, I'm like, okay, well, they just said, well, meet with the neurologist next year, and if your symptoms get worse, come back. And in my mind right then, in my head, I said, I feel like I'm dying, that they haven't found it, and I'm going to die before they figure it out. So I need to get my answers to what's the meaning of life. And I started kind of searching. And it ended up that the person who did that energy healing on me was talking about the spiritual teacher. And at that point, I was like, still not believing in any of it, but it was like, what do I have to lose?
Right.
And ended up going to a class, and it ended up that spiritual teacher's teachings gave me all the tools and all the skills I needed to find my answers. And I believe in it so much, I teach those classes now, and do that as well as the intuitive energy healing. So, yeah.
It's so interesting. And just like I said, taking that sharp right turn from where you're at, and being somebody that was really doubtful of this, and kind of saying, calling BS on your massage therapist. Right. And so this might be an interesting time to bring this up. I'm sure some listeners right now are like, I'm not sure if I want to dive deeper on this. So what would you say to that person directly at this point, before we even go deeper into this conversation, that somebody that's feeling that doubt of like, this might be a little bit out there for me to buy into for the next, half hour or so. So what would you say to that person right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, I can come from a techie perspective in that there is a lot of science, physics out there that supports all of this information, right? They know in physics that if they're searching and looking at the level of electrons and protons and neutrons, that they will, when they're scanning them to photograph them, that if they think they're going to be in one area, then they are. And if they think they're going to be in another area, then they are. Right? So on a physics level, on a science level, even on a neuroscience level, there's a lot of data out there supporting the fact that everything is energy, and that we can focus that energy in different ways. And actually, I'm thinking of an example that might be helpful. Okay. So like all of us have had a time where you come home, you walk into the house, and before you see anybody in the house, you know something's wrong. Right? That's picking up on the energy of the emotions of what's going on, right? before you see anybody, and then someone comes into the room and says, oh my gosh, there was a big fight, or oh my gosh, so-and-so is sick, or so-and-so is in the hospital, right? You didn't see them. You didn't see their facial expressions. They weren't even in the room, but you just walked into the house and you knew something was wrong, right? It's that type of a thing. And it's just honing that, right? In getting more, they talk about mindfulness and being present, is just becoming more aware of that. I don't know if that.
No, that makes sense. And some people call that like intuition, but you're saying there's actual like physics behind this, that the science makes sense as well. So no, what about from like a health perspective? How are you helping people with their health? And obviously I've got a lot of people on a weight loss journey, but just getting healthier in general, but also, is there anything that we can be doing ourselves with this knowledge of energy healing? Like, is there anything that we can be doing to shift our energy in the right way so that we can, maybe somebody feels like they're kind of stuck with their weight loss and they have no idea why? What are some options that we could do as far as block or unblocking ourselves?
Yeah. Thank you for that. I appreciate that question. So things you can do from an energetic perspective is there could be blocks, energetic blocks. So having a belief that I have to struggle to lose weight, that's an energy pattern. That thought pattern is an energy pattern. So getting to be aware of what beliefs do I have around being healthy? I can't be healthy unless I struggle. I can't be healthy unless I deprive myself of all my favorite foods. I can't be healthy unless I'm exercising every day. Like, those are all false beliefs and all energy patterns. And the first thing is to be aware of, I have this belief, and no, it's not true. I don't have to exercise every day to be healthy.
Right.
There's a certain amount for me that's going to be healthy, and I have to find that, but not necessarily every day. So first is the awareness of, hey, I have some of that. And the second part is, can you let it go? Right? Sometimes you come up with a false belief and you're like, no, but I know it's not true, but I still believe it.
Yeah.
And I'm laughing because that happens to me almost every day. I work on myself every day, and I'm like, all right. So, at that point, you can ask the universe, God, whoever you believe in, to help. Like, hey, I know this isn't true, but I'm not willing to let it go. Can you help me let this go? Right? That's one approach. Another could be, can I find different aspects of this false belief that I can let go? So I have to exercise every day to be healthy. Can I maybe exercise a little bit less some days? So I'm still forcing myself to do it every day, which is that false belief. But can I maybe do, 15 minutes less of exercise? Or maybe can I just do 6 days a week instead of 7 and see how that feels?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Definitely when you have, again, I know this sounds crazy because I used to be that techie engineer. If you can't prove it, that's that. Having a private session with someone like myself where you can heal out that blockage. So to give an example, I was working with I was working with a client because she had ulcers, and she wanted to get off the ulcer medication. That was actually her main goal. She didn't believe that they could be healed at all. And after a session, we got her down from I don't know ulcer medicine, so I apologize. But there was one that was like the really super strong one down to a weaker one. And then after another, sessions, she was down to not needing the medicine at all, but she had to be careful what she ate. And then eventually she didn't have the ulcers anymore. She went to the doctor and it was gone. Like she would find out like she was eating stuff that normally would cause her to have pain and agitate the ulcer. And then realize like, oh, like it was just like, I'm going to eat this. I don't care if I'm not going to feel good. I want to eat this. And I'm like, oh, I'm fine. So it's like not even believing that she didn't even believe that could happen. It was more,
Right.
I want to have sessions with Kim so I don't have to take the medicines because it's expensive and I don't like the side effects and all of that kind of thing. And not only that was that we got to that point of, wow, right? Energy is energy. So when the energy can flow, you are completely healthy.
Yeah.
24/7. Right. There is no, and blocks happen, right? You go to the mailbox and you get a bill in the mail and you're like, but you've been having a happy day before then, right? Your emotions and your energy shifts.
So do you think a word that keeps, or a phrase that keeps popping up into my head right now is placebo effect? And do you think that like an explanation of placebo effect is more about us just the belief factor? Like we actually start believing, and that's what is allowing us to heal, is that our mindset has shifted to a mindset of believing that we can be healed. And that's is that an explanation for a placebo effect, or am I just making stuff up?
No, I've actually never heard that question before. And I think that's amazing. I would say most probably a lot of placebo effect could be put to that from a brain science perspective, right? We all know now from neuroscience that we have this negativity bias in our brains. And why? This is from, our caveman days
Yeah.
of if you're seeing something through the trees and you're not sure what it is, you need to go into that reptilian brain of fight or flight to protect yourself versus being in the frontal cortex of, oh, I'm curious about this. Let me go investigate. And it's a dinosaur who eats you, right? So helping shift the actual neurotransmitters in your brain, right? Shifting from that negative to the positive can shift a lot of things. And what is our brain but electrical currents, right? Sending messages to our body. And we're working with energy healing. Right. So I think that's definitely something I want to ponder a little bit more and definitely think that that's true. And also it's our belief, right? If you have a belief that you can't do it, it doesn't matter how many affirmations you do and how much you push that river up the stream, it's not going to happen because you really don't believe you can do it.
Right.
Right. And with health though, right? And an example with health of like, I believe I can get better. You can say it, but if you're not really believing it on every level of your being, right? Your subconscious, your unconscious as well, or maybe you're lying to yourself, right? I'm so scared about this medical condition I have. I'm going to believe that I can get better. But it's more of an avoidance and a denial versus like, I'm afraid of dying. What does that mean to me if I die, if I die now? I said I'd be there for my kids, for my spouse, for my family. Or, wow, there's all these other things I really wanted to do and see in the world. And right. So I have to live. Well, have to live is different than I believe I can live. Right. I've helped people be pain-free when they've had chronic pain. And again, if you have the belief that no, this is just the way it is. It's been this way for decades. and all the doctors say the same thing, I'm just going to have to live with this, then that's going to be the case. The good news, I guess you can call it, is that if you go for a session with someone like myself, is because that belief is an energy, we can take that belief out. We can take that belief out and shift, right? And then it's gone. I worked with a husband and wife who were trying to get pregnant for 8 years, medical community. They went to New York, checked both out and said, you're both healthy, but you don't understand why you're not getting pregnant. And we had a session, and it ended up that there were some other lifetimes there where they had beliefs of, I can't have a child because it's going to be taken away from me, blah, 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 blah. There's, it was a child of a king, but she wasn't the queen. So the child's going to be taken away because it's going to be raised in the royal family, that kind of thing, right? And it sounds crazy. And the clients are like, we don't believe in past lives. And that sounds ridiculous. And I'm like, that's okay. Energetically, you were ready to let that go. And I was able to remove that. And she was pregnant within a month. The child's now 11 years old, right? So it's like she didn't have to believe it. We shifted the energy, right? You can change your beliefs yourself. There's a lot of things you can change on your own. There's some things that are more persnickety that sometimes it's helpful to have someone there, or you can learn the energy healing yourself to do it on yourself, right? I'm all about empowering people, right? My website is Be the Change Now, right? Take action now, whatever your action is. So.
No, so you mentioned something that I'm super curious about, and that's the whole past lives thing. We talked about this when we chatted over lunch, when we met, and it's just fascinating to me because I'm so curious about things like this. I'm very open-minded about things, and I don't know what I think or what I believe, but I'm always into learning more. So let's talk about that aspect of what you do a little bit, and let's start off maybe just saying, like, how do you look into a past life, or does it just like pop into your head like a dream or a vision, or how are you acquiring this data, and what does that look like when you realize that somebody has something in a past life that's creating a blockage?
Yeah, well, that is a big can of worms you just opened. So let me see if I can take some pieces here. So the first thing I was thinking about is, even when I started taking spiritual classes, I was always like, I don't know if I believe about this whole past life thing. It seems a little hokey, right? Everyone wants to be the king or the queen in the past life. And, no one wants to be the slave or the serf or the baker or whatever.
Right.
And I've always been like that doubting Thomas. And it wasn't until I experienced my first past life that I was like, ooh, just like with having that energy healing in that massage office, it was just like, oh, something happened here. So I definitely understand people's doubts about it. And I'm not here to convince anyone of anything. That's for sure, right? Your truth is your truth, and definitely stick with that. And with the idea of lifetimes, is with everything being energy, and even Hindus and Buddhists, they believe that we reincarnate from lifetime after lifetime. And a lot of people, you have probably had the experience of, you meet somebody and it's like you feel like you've known them your whole entire life. That's someone you knew really well in another lifetime. That's why you feel like you know them so well off the bat when you've just met them, right?
Yeah.
And there's also people you meet and right off the bat you're like, I don't trust this person, I don't like this person, right? And again, you've just met. There's nothing to indicate why you should trust or not like this person. But again, it's another lifetime where you didn't have a good interaction with that person, whether they stole from you or lied to you or whatever, and some part of your being is remembering that. So I guess that's my little high level on the other lifetimes. How do you sense them? Well, that's a whole other can of worms. So people might say that they're psychic or intuitive, and what I say is everyone has those abilities. Everyone's walked into the house and said something's wrong, right?
Right.
Everyone's had like, hey, I think my mom's going to call, and then the phone rings and it's your mom, right? That's your intuitive abilities, and it's as natural as seeing with your eyes and hearing with your ears and smelling with your nose and touching with your hands, right? Of our five senses, we have five intuitive abilities, and they don't start out strong like our five senses, right? And just like an Olympic athlete can't be an Olympian without training and practicing and honing those skills, it's the same with our intuitive abilities. And a lot of people stop me at this point and go, well, I don't want to be a psychic. Like, there's such negative connotation with that word. And people, people pretending to be it and those types of things. Oh, I don't want to do that. And I'm like, no, you don't hone your intuitive abilities to become the psychic reader. You're honing your intuitive abilities so you can connect with your own intuition.
Yeah.
Your own inner self. Some people say higher self, some people say soul, right? That knows the most joy-filled, love-filled path forward for you. So you wanting to hone those skills. And what are those skills really? Is getting sensitive to the energy around us. That's all it is. And everything is energy, right? So being able to sense another lifetime is part of that honing of those abilities. Now, let me be clear. My goal when I took those spiritual classes was finding what the meaning of life was, finding what my purpose in life was, and then realizing, hey, in addition to physical, mental, emotional growth, there's spiritual growth. There's a spiritual side of me. So I'm going to grow spiritually. I never wanted to be quote unquote intuitive. I thought that was hokey. I thought it was BS. I thought it was a stigma to be called that. Like, I didn't want anything to do with that. But I wanted to hone my ability to communicate with my own higher self soul so that I could grow and learn faster, right? So I can be of service to the world, whatever my service is, right? Everyone has a service. Some people's service is to be a movie star. Some people's service is to be a doctor. Some people's service is to be an amazing, mailman or mailwoman, right? We all have our purpose. And as I honed my abilities to really get clear on what my soul was telling me, these intuitive abilities started getting honed as a side. It was like a side effect, right? Because how are you going to have clear communication with your inner self? Those abilities are going to hone. And so there's many different ways people can sense things. And sensing other lifetimes is, I'm sorry, I'm self-censoring myself. Like, I've just talked a lot.
No, I'm so interested. You just keep going. Like,
so I'm gonna take a psychological example here, right? So in Psychology 101, we learned that we have the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the unconscious mind, right? And in believing everything is energy, it's all energy, we can access that. And our subconscious and unconscious has all of these false beliefs that we might not be aware of, but it has everything from all of our lifetimes. So if you haven't learned something or healed something, a false belief, I'm unworthy, I don't deserve abundance, I don't deserve health, I don't deserve to be pain-free, whatever it might be, it's still in there. It's still part of our energetic being. So becoming aware of another lifetime can help you heal pieces you might not be aware of, which is why I started trying to sense them. There's many ways to sense other lifetimes. You can see it like you're watching a TV show. You can hear it like you're hearing my voice now and Adam's voice now. I'm mentioning these are all the different intuitive abilities. So seeing it as clairvoyance, hearing it as clairaudience. You can get an awareness and knowingness of it, and that's called clairsentience, where it's just like when the doctors were telling me nothing's wrong with you, you've gone to all the specialists, we can't find anything wrong with you, and my symptoms were getting worse. And I'm like, no, I know something is wrong. Right. I just knew it. And at the time, again, I was the engineer, you have to prove it. But for whatever reason, it was like, I didn't believe whatever their tests and stuff were saying. I'm like, there's something and you guys are missing it. Right. So there's more intuitive abilities, but those are the ones that come up most when you're sensing another lifetime.
That's interesting. And there's so many times in my life that I feel just pulled so strongly in a direction, like, or pushed or pulled, or, like there's like a magnetism where, like, I recently, for the last couple of years, I've been considering like selling my gym and kind of turning that page of my life from a 20-year career as a personal trainer, instructor, gym owner. And it was really hard for me to give up. But then just stuff started happening where, like, they shut off the road to my gym. And I'm like, I'm feeling pulled that, like, this is a sign from whatever is out there giving me signs. And just like things like that started happening. I just felt like the deck of cards was getting stacked in a certain direction. Like, here are all the signs, you big dummy, go a different direction. You're not meant for this right now. So yeah, I can definitely relate with just that feeling, that sense of being pulled or pushed in different directions. And once I did, decide to turn that page and sell the gym, like, I did feel, I remember talking to, this is just recently happened a couple of weeks ago. And I remember talking to people and I just felt like I was just energetically and mentally in a different space. And I felt more free. And I just instantly felt like, okay, now I'm on a path that I can walk towards where I don't feel like I'm walking in mud. And, not saying that the gym experience was a bad one or anything. It was amazing. It's a huge, amazing part of my life, but I just kept on feeling pulled in a different direction in a lot of different ways. And once I aligned my life and my actions with that, it seems like rocket fuel has been infused into my lifestyle and my energy. So I can definitely relate to some of the things you just said there, Kim.
Yeah, definitely. And, awesome that you, one, noticed the signs, and two, followed them, right? You took action on them. And the universe is here to support us. And you're making me think of a story that went around the internet years and years ago, right? The story goes, a hurricane is coming and they're evacuating the neighborhood. And so people come by Joe's house and say, Joe, get in the truck, get your things in the truck. The hurricane's coming, they're evacuating. And Joe says, no, God will save me. And then the waters start rising. So people come by in a boat, say, Joe, get in the boat. The water's rising, the hurricane's coming. And he says, no, God will save me. And the water keeps rising. So now it's the point that it's at the roof of his house. And he's standing on the roof of his house because the water's up to that level. And a helicopter comes by and says, Joe, grab the rope. The water is rising with the hurricane. And he says, no, God will save me. And then he dies. And he goes to heaven and he said, God, why didn't you save me? And God said, I sent you a truck, a boat, and a helicopter. Right?
Look at the signs, Joe.
Exactly. So, honoring you for seeing the signs and being aware of them. And again, that's why so many practices out there are talking about being mindfulness and being present and doing breathing exercises to help you be more aware of what's going on around you so that you don't miss those signs. Right?
Yeah.
So neither here nor there, right? But I've worked with a lot of people with health issues, back to our health. that starved to death in a past life. And in this lifetime, so they're having this belief of, I have to always have extra weight on, because then it'll take me longer to starve to death. There's more chance of me finding food before I starve to death, right? And they don't know that that's running them. But when I tell them, hey, this is what's coming up for me, they're like, well, I don't remember that, but that's what I feel like. I feel like I have to, right? My refrigerator and my freezer, and I have an extra freezer in the garage, packed to the gills. But like, I am terrified that I'm going to run out of food. I'm going to terrified that I'm going to go hungry. I don't know why. I make good money. My freezers are full of food, but I have this fear, and I know it's crazy. I know it is illogical and irrational. But hey, right? And we clear that out, and then the pounds just start dropping off. They're not doing anything different than their normal exercise routine and eating health routine. And the pounds start dropping off because they've let go of that belief.
Yeah. I mean, limiting beliefs are called limiting beliefs for a reason. They're not called, helpful beliefs. It's amazing just the power of that mindset. And I mean, if we want to get super just basic, like, we know what stress does to our body. So if we have these negative beliefs anyway, it's almost like having a virus on our computer, and people like you are the people that help, potentially clear that virus off, so that now we can operate a little more effectively and actually realize our true potential. And it's not that we're doing anything different. Everything is more optimal. We feel like that's a good description of kind of how you're doing it?
We're reprogramming on an energetic level, right? Definitely. And again, a lot of these false beliefs, if you just take time to journal, take time to do some relaxation breathing, it'll come to you. Like, there's a podcast called Shower Epiphanies, right? So many people have epiphanies in the shower. Why? Because you are quieting that monkey mind of, I got to do this, I got to do that. And you're just being, and all of a sudden you get this great idea, right? Or all of a sudden you go, oh, that's right? 9 times out of 10, when I'm in a session with someone and I'll say, hey, your soul's saying, like, you need to exercise. You're not exercising at all. And I'm like, yeah, I know. They know. I'm not telling them anything new, right? But helping clear the blockages of why are you not doing that? And again, for folks that are kind of seeing this like I did when I was an engineer, there's now neuroscience showing why people don't do this. Give me a second. I'll think about the name of this book, which is really, I would never read it because it's like, I think 1,000 pages long, but there's some great YouTube videos. I'll think of it. Anyway, the basis of it is there were psychologists studying people who were coming out of the doctor's cardiologist's office, who were given the news that they had to start taking medicine, had to change their diet, and needed to start exercising, or they will die. Not they might die, they will die. So they would interview them coming out of getting this news and say, are you going to do everything the doctor suggested? And they're like, of course, because I'm going to die otherwise. And then they would interview them 6 months and 12 months later and find out they weren't doing any of it. It's like, but you're going to die. And finding out the why of it, well, like, it's finding out that why. Why are you not doing? The doctor's telling you might die. You are going to die if you don't do these things.
Right.
Doing these things, like, why not? And do you want to die? No, I don't want to die. So just talking to them, I'm like, okay, so why aren't you taking your medication? Well, my dad had a heart condition and he was taking medication and he died. Oh, so you have a belief that if you take medication, you're going to die.
Interesting.
Right? And once they can get to the why, they're taking their medication, they're doing their exercise, they're eating the right way. And it's the same thing for anything. I'm bummed I can't think of the book. But anyway,
we'll get it. I'll put it in the show notes. No big deal.
Yeah. At least they can Google for YouTube videos, but they apply it to why people struggle with losing weight, why people struggle with staying in jobs that they're miserable in, staying in marriages that they're miserable in, like why they're not making that change, whatever that change is that they're needing in their lives. And it's all getting to that, can I get clear on the why? What false belief do I have? Sometimes doing things like meditation or breathing exercises, walking in nature, taking the long shower or the long bath, you get that aha moment of, oh, here's another piece. And sometimes the pieces are really stuck down in that subconscious and unconscious. And there's so much fear about even being aware of the issue that you have, right? That I feel, I just don't feel worthy.
Yeah.
And I don't even want to admit that to myself. So that's not going to come up to my conscious awareness. So having a session can help get to those things. And sometimes you've got to everything you can get to, and there's just things on the energetic, right? Things from other lifetimes that are running you, right? This is not to do with, maybe I would say mental health is an example here. A client once that said, been a long-time client, and she's like, I think today in our session, I want to work on something. You're going to think I'm crazy. My husband thinks I'm crazy. My kids think I'm crazy. But every time we leave the house, I have to check and recheck that the burners aren't on the stove, that my curling iron isn't on, that there's no candles lit. And it takes us a half an hour to leave the house every single time. I dated my husband for years before we got married. We've been married for 10 years. My kids all can attest to this is the way I am. I know it's insane. I know it's irrational, and I can't stop myself. And I said, that sounds like it could be from another lifetime. Let's take, she's like, well, I've never experienced another lifetime. I'd like to believe in them, but I'm like, that's fine. You don't have to. So in the session, it came up that what I saw, she was living in, I would say, like frontier days, kind of like Little House on the Prairie. And she had, dinner on the fire, and the kids were taking a nap, and she decided to walk a mile to the neighbor's house, because that's the next nearest neighbor's house,
right,
to chat with the wife. And when she came back to the house, the whole house was engulfed in flames. And at that point, she said to herself, I'm irresponsible, and I need to be hyper responsible to atone to make up for this.
Wow.
So when I shared that with her, she said, well, I don't remember that lifetime, but that's how I feel. I have to be responsible that a fire is not going to engulf the house. And I said, well, you're ready to let go of it. Energetically, it's completely transformed and transmuted. It's healed. And she said, okay, great. And we did work on some other things in the session. And 2 weeks later, she called me, and this is a client on the East Coast. So usually she just emails me to set up appointments and things like that. So I picked up the phone and I said, hey, what's going on? She's like, I just had to call you and tell you. I said, tell me what? She said, we were in the car driving today with my husband. My husband was driving. I was in the passenger seat. The kids were in the back seat. And he's laughing at me. And she's like, tell me why you're laughing at me. He's like, no, I'm afraid you're going to change if I tell you. She's like, you better tell me. He's like, do you realize for the last 2 weeks, we've been able to put on our coats, get in the car, and go without the half an hour. And I'm afraid that I'm saying it to you now that you're going to change. And at that moment, she remembered, oh yeah, I had a session with Kim 2 weeks ago, and we healed that lifetime. So it's not that she remembered Kim said it was healed, so I should change my behavior. She completely forgot about it, but it was gone. So her behavior changed on a dime like that overnight.
Damn, that's awesome.
So, that's what those kinds of things can do. And again, whether it's chronic pain or physical health issues or wanting to lose weight, a lot of times when people are struggling, it's because of those types of things that they haven't been able to move forward.
Okay, so, and I know we're running short on time, but my audience will just they will kill me if I do not ask this question, because we love to do, when we go out into different areas of learning on the show, we like to explore and use me as an example. So we spend a decent amount of time together. We had lunch. We sat out in the sun of San Diego and had a great conversation. We've been talking for about an hour here today. Has anything jumped out at you, like from the sense of my soul speaking to you, or a past life situation or anything? And I've told you before, like good, bad, or ugly, I'm open to whatever you have to say. And I'm not afraid of that, but I'm interested. I'm curious. So anything that's popped out to you that we could discuss really quickly, just as an example?
I'm just thinking briefly, because actually 2 lifetimes have come to me.
This is awesome.
So
I'm already pumped. This is very, very cool. All right.
So one, and I think this is a great example. One is you were in a lifetime, you were a sumo wrestler, right? Sumo wrestlers in Japan, they are praised and lauded for being overweight.
Interesting.
That's what makes them champions. And it makes me think of a colleague of mine who worked in India for a while, and she went home to visit mom for 2 weeks, and eating all mom's good food, she gained some weight. And when she went back to India, her coworkers said, "Oh, that's so wonderful, you got fat." Because in India, if you're skinny, it means you're poor, that you're in poverty, right? And she wasn't, fat, right? She was probably 5, 10, 15 pounds overweight, something like that. Overweight for what the medical community would say is overweight, right? And so it's just that false belief, those perspectives of why does weight need to be bad? Right? Why are you judging that? So I'm going to quickly just jump to the next one, because the next one is to me is exciting, because it's touching on what you were saying about closing down your gym. Because I saw you, and I can't say what your role was. It was kind of like small town USA, probably back in the 20s or even before then type of thing is what I'm seeing. And you were like I don't know if it was like the mayor of the town, the marshal of the town, something like that, but it was more of, you felt like you were the father of the town. You needed to take care of the community, all aspects of their lives. So not just their weight. It was the more holistic approach of them needing help with their house, or they're needing help with, arguments with neighbors or spouses, or needing help with getting a head start with a job, right? It was the whole looking out for the community and the farmers' crops, because that's feeding the community, right? It was this very holistic, taking care of everybody from all aspects.
Wow. All right. So let me blow the audience's mind. So the main clarity I've had since I made that pivot and we let go of the gym is that I wanted to continue to influence people with their health, but I almost saw like a 3-pronged approach, where 2 of the biggest blockages that I see with people getting healthy is they're not in control of their time and their schedule, and they're not in control of their money. And so I'm starting to create this whole holistic program that we tackle those things. And at my next year, the live event I do next year, we're going to have a whole workshop based off of making ourselves a priority with our owning our time, getting out of debt, the whole financial thing as well. So that is amazing. Kim, that's so cool. That is so cool.
There you go. You got some validation that you've already got the message.
So cool. My goodness. Kim Chiarello, ladies and gentlemen. This has been a unique experience. I'm so grateful that you made some time for us. And let's make sure people know how to get connected to you. So what's the best way to contact you if they want to ask questions, inquire about coaching, things like that?
Yeah, definitely. My best place is my website, which is www.bethechangenow.com. So that's bethechangenow.com. And there you can sign up for my email list, where I'll announce upcoming workshops. I do all my workshops once a quarter. Haven't scheduled out yet for the next year. And definitely everyone is welcome. to sign up for a free complimentary 20-minute discovery session with me for questions and answers, and seeing how we can support and empower you on your path forward.
Amazing. And everybody, I'll put those links in the show notes and in the blog. That way it's easy for you to connect with Kim. Kim, my friend, this has really been a unique experience. Like I said, I was fired up for this conversation. You did not disappoint at all. I just appreciate you and your investment and your time and your wisdom here with the Million Pound Mission today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be here. I had a blast. Thanks.
All right, everybody. Now, I hope that this conversation sparked something inside of you. Maybe some questions, maybe some clarity was gained. But whatever that is, let's pursue that and take some time to think and let that marinate, and let's take action in line with that. Just like I had to, if you feel like the universe or whatever you believe in is pulling you in a direction, explore that, be curious with that, and be open to listening to that and see what comes out of it. And that, my friends, is how we get out there and we own it. Every meal, every workout, every day. And I will see you on the next episode.
Hey, thanks for listening to this episode. I hope you got a ton out of it. If you feel like you need a little bit of a boost, a little bit of an accountability buddy, a little bit of coaching, I've got my 28-day coaching program open and ready to help. You can go to millionpoundmission.com and apply. I take a few people each week. I like to stagger them out as we onboard new people so you get maximum attention. We're touching base every week with video chats. We've got a daily Google Doc that I call the Client Hub that we check in with on a daily basis. We really dig in with your macros, your calories, your fitness. I supply all the resources you need in all those areas, and it's supportive accountability to help you burst through that plateau, to reverse your momentum from negative to positive, and really get after those goals that you've been shooting for so long. It's time to go from goal setting to goal achieving, and the 28-day coaching program is the way to get it done. Head on over to millionpoundmission.com and submit your application today.